But the main thing is this: if I wanted to buy stocks, Apple, say if Apple's at $100, right, and I want to buy 100 shares of Apple, it's going to cost me roughly $10,000. Okay, if I'm doing that math correctly, I believe I am, right? But if I want to buy 100 shares as a stock option, a contract, right, I could spend roughly around $140. So I just said I can spend $140 and get 100 shares of Apple, or I can get 100 shares of Apple and spend $10,000 if I want to get the actual stock. It's a big price difference.
Most people think in stocks is like a long-term play.
Right.
What's the difference between, trading stocks and trading stock options that allows you to make these returns on a daily basis?
So the beautiful thing is this, though. So when you trade stocks, right, for one, they're more expensive, right? And you have to hold them for a long amount of time. Okay. When you trade stock options, they're not as expensive, and you can trade them short term and long term. Either one you want to do, okay? But the main thing is this: if I wanted to buy stocks, Apple, say if Apple's at $100, right, and I want to buy 100 shares of Apple, it's going to cost me roughly $10,000, okay? If I'm doing that math correctly, I believe I am, right? But if I want to buy 100 shares as a stock option, a contract, right, I could spend roughly around $140. So I just said I can spend $140 and get 100 shares of Apple, or I can get 100 shares of Apple and spend $10,000 if I want to get the actual stock. It's a big price difference. The only difference is when you buy that stock, you can have that stock forever until you sell it. But with the contract or with the stock option, you have to sell it by a particular date. That's the difference between it. Okay. And the beautiful thing about how I'm able to come into the stock market and make, like yesterday, for example, I made $970 yesterday. Trading stock options. I traded for like an hour and a half. The reason is I understand the story of the market. The market tells the same stories over and over and over. The market is truly a beautiful love story if you put it in that concept. You can literally put the market into a concept and you can explain the market through that concept. That's why I explain the market using R&B music. Like Wallow called me the R&B king of stock options, right? So I teach the whole stock market using R&B music. And I break it down in simplest terms.
Now you said it's like it's a love story.
Mm-hmm.
What does that story look like? Like, how were you able to, like, is this something that your mentor kind of taught you? Is this something that you kind of saw over time? Like, how do you even interpret it as this story? And what does that story look like? What does that story tell?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I give all praise to the Most High, because I'm gonna be completely honest with you. The way that I put the concept into a story was not taught to me, right? Mm-hmm. It really wasn't taught to me. Like the Most High, he as I go through this and read and going through the charts, he just started downloading things into my mind. But the actual technical analysis aspect of it, those things were taught to me. But when I had to break it down and put it in my own language. That was the hardest thing to do, because I can hear everybody talk about all this technical stuff in the stock market. I'm like, listen, I'm not a slow leak. I hear what you're saying, but it's not making sense to me. Like I can't grasp what you're saying. And then it just kind of started coming together. The Most High I started spending time with the Most High. I feel like the Most High right beside me, spending time with me too. And he started breaking it down in simplest terms. It's like when you're doing long division, or it's like when you're doing a fraction in math, right? You got 10 over 2. 10 over 2 is 5. So 10 over 2 does not stay 10 over 2. You can break it down simpler to 5 over 1, right? So that's what I do. I break it all the way down. And it's a beautiful thing. So for example, when you think about a love story, I use this thing called support and resistance, right? You got support is like a line down here where it's like a floor, and you got resistance is like your ceiling inside your house. So right now in your house, look up at your ceiling. Look at your ceiling from right now. That's your resistance, right? Now look at your floor. That's your support. And you're in between the ceiling and the floor. Now I want you to think about this. Think about you and say your old lady, for example, your significant other, for example, y'all right beside each other, okay? Inside this house that y'all in, right? And you tell your significant other, hey, I want to move forward with you. I want to get married to you. I think we should be together. In order for you guys to be together, you have to get from the floor that you're on to the second floor. So you got to go through that resistance. But at resistance is your significant other's feelings and emotions and fears that she had to deal with in her previous relationship. So every time you guys try to break through the ceiling, she says, no, we're not getting married. So when she tells you, no, you're not getting married, where do you go right back to? You go right back down to the floor. You see what I'm saying? Now, eventually, after you keep doing that and doing that and doing that, you're going to say, okay, listen, do you want to be with me? Yes or no? If you're going to ask her, do you want to be with me? Yes or no? And she says, no, I don't want to be with you. Then that's when now it's time for you to get out of that house. So that support floor that you have, now you've broken through that support floor, and we call that Chris Brown. It's never a right time to say goodbye, but I gotta make the first move. If I don't, you're gonna start hating me. Okay? So when you break through the support, that's going through the floor, is going down. We call it Chris Brown. If you break through resistance and she says, yes, I want to be with you, I'm gonna open up my heart to you, we call that jagged edge. Meet me at the altar in your white dress. We're not getting any younger, we might as well do it. Let's get married. So that's kind of how I break it down using R&B and using like a relationship type of things. I think we froze.
No, that makes sense. So are you saying like now? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
It's kind of going in and out.
Okay. Let me make sure that I got
we
this.
Good now. We good now.
Okay, perfect. So when you explain these breakthroughs, hitting through that floor, that Chris Brown and that jagged edge, are these opportunities that you have to look at to where you bouncing, you got to get out of that option, or what? What is the decision that you have to make?
The decision is that's when you get into it. So if we say jagged edge, let's get married, and we break through that ceiling, that hole, that ceiling right there. We want to go through it, and then it has to come back and test. You see what I'm saying? Now you got to test your significant other to see if they really truly mean, and we're going to go ahead and go to this altar.
Gotcha.
Do a test, and boom, it goes back, start moving back up. That's when you enter. Chris Brown, when it breaks through Chris Brown, we all know in relationships what happened. You break up, and next thing you know what happened. You mess around and shoot a text message. Hey, what's up? I miss you. This and the third. And then y'all get back together, right? So what we have to verify is when it breaks through that floor and it comes back up, we got to verify that. Listen, when that text message come back, hey, what you doing? Let's get back together. You say, nah, we done. Boom, Chris Brown, get in the put. It's going down. You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha. So these are now signals on when you need to bust a move and either put in. It's like I think the terminology is a call or a put, right?
Yep. A call means the stock price is going up. A put means the stock price is going down. Exactly.
Gotcha. So jagged edge mean I'm placing puts.
Nah, jagged edge mean I'm placing calls because we're going to get married at the altar. That means we're going to be together. Chris Brown means I'm placing puts because we breaking up. It's never the right time to say goodbye.
Gotcha. Okay. So now, man, Chris, you breaking it down in like layman's terms for folks to really digest this. As far as like the learning curve that it takes to understand this, because you just broke that down in 2 minutes to make it super understandable for people to at least know what they're looking at. For ideally, right? But what is the typical learning curve from hearing this information and be like, yo, I want to get into stock options today and I want to make $500. How long would it typically take me to be able to get consistent to where I'm making that type of money?
Gotcha. It all depends on the person, right?
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on the person. Like you got some people that may come in a month or 2 months and they're making $200 to $300 to $400. And you got some people who may take 6, 7, 8 months because it all depends on what you put into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on what you put into it. If you're the type of person to say, listen, I got your information.